In this video, we are going to talk about CSS Flexbox. But before we talk about CSS Flexbox, if you are coming across this video, please. So what is a CSS Flexbox? Just like CSS Grid, in which we learned in one of my videos, a CSS Flexbox is a container that we use to put other elements inside in a CSS. These give us more controls over a web page, especially when it comes to CSS layout. In the previous video, we learned about CSS Grid as one of the important ways of arranging layouts on a web page. However, a CSS Flexbox gives us more control over the layout on a web page. There are some similarities between CSS Flexbox and CSS Grid. However, there are also some differences between CSS Grid and CSS Flexbox. So let's go into the code and then check it out. So from here, I'm going to come somewhere at the plus sign, and from here we are going to create a new file, and we will name this file flexbox.html. Hit enter. Then another box or another file has been created, and from here, let's first of all set up our CSS structure. Sorry, our HTML structure, I mean to say. So from here, we'll first of all go ahead and type our structure as the dot type. We put a space and then write HTML. Another one is the less than HTML and greater than. Divide this one, and then we are going to put a head element. And we are also going to put down the body element. So now the CSS structure is well formed. And what we are going to do is to right click and open with Live Server. So we are going inside the head element to put down some other element that contains in the head. And the first thing we are going to put is a title. We give it a title of Flexbox so that it will be easier for us to understand. Now we will come to the body element and divide it. Once we divide it, we are going to start writing our code. And the first thing we are going to write is to create a container, which is a div. And after this div, we divide it, create another div inside this div. So this is the first div, which is div 1. And we also go ahead to create the second div, which is div 2. Now hit Ctrl S to save and go back to your web page and see what exactly is going on there. So now on the web page, we have the first one and we have the second one. So let's go to our code, and the first thing we are going to do is to start styling them one by one. And in this case, we are going to use inline CSS to style this so that we know what is going on the web page. And by using inline CSS, let me first of all create a space so that we know where the first div stops and the second div stops. From here, let's create a space there, and we give it a style element, and we are going to give it a background color of, let's say, this aqua. We'll come to the second one and give it a CSS style of background color, and let's make it something like cornflower blue. Hit Ctrl S to save, and let's go back to our website. Now you will discover that our Flexbox has been created and styled. So we are going to see what is really going on there. Right now, our website is arranging this vertically, but we will go inside our code and first make this box, this container, a flex box. And by doing so, we are going to style this one, make it a style equals to, give it a display of a flex. So it is now displaying flex. And the second code we will need to do that is flex direction, and we give it a direction of row. Flex direction row. So now if you come here, you discover that something has changed. It is no more arranging our web things on our website vertically, but it is arranging them horizontally. The next thing we are going to do is to write the flex width. And by doing this, while we were doing our grid, we have one FR. In flex, we have to use flex. Make it a flex and give it a value of 1. Flex 1 is telling us that is telling the website that take the space or the amount of space on this container. So in the second element, we are also going to give it a flex of 1, which is telling it to take an equal amount of space on this container. We give Ctrl S to save, go back to our website, and now you will see that all of them have been arranged horizontally. So now this is one of the similarities between the CSS Flex and the CSS Grid. Now let's go to one of the differences between the CSS Grid and the CSS Flex. Now if you come inside one of these divs or one of these elements, let's use this second element, create a space, and maybe we are going to put one paragraph inside this, and we say hello, and we hit Ctrl S. If you go back, you will discover that in CSS Grid this would have come back to wrap down here, because in CSS Grid, once the number of rows are more than the number of columns, it will start wrapping under beneath it. But in CSS Flex, instead of this hello coming down to wrap somewhere in this place, it will not wrap here, rather it will expand this box equal to the amount of size that are supposed to contain here. And again, it will take an alignment from this one. It pushes both this one that have only one element to take the same vertical alignment and horizontal alignment here. This is one of the advantages of CSS Flexbox. The third thing we are going to learn is, if you come here and copy the first code here, let's copy it, come down here and paste it here, hit Ctrl S to save. Or if you copy the first element in the container and paste it down here, if you come on the website, you will also discover that without adding more CSS to arrange this, this is automatically aligning itself vertically and horizontally. So let's add another thing on this element to see what will go on. So we add another P element to this div and then hit Ctrl S to save and see what is going on. Now you will discover that adding just one thing, both this one and this one are increasing vertically. So there is no need for unnecessary styling. So CSS Flexbox is the best way to style elements or CSS nested layout on a page. In our next video, we're going to be using CSS Flexbox to update our project, which is this project that looks like a youtube.com here. So we will be using what we learned in this video to update this project, and make sure instead of using grid, we use CSS Flexbox to design and arrange this nested layout. If you have watched this video to this point, congratulations to you. You are now gradually becoming a web developer. See you in my next video.